This notebook a couple years ago, so that when I had one of my first jobs in Orlando, I think my only job, I was working at Captel, so I could write down my ideas. This is my message from my date mate Peach. I love him, you know. And this is where I just wrote down a whole bunch of ideas while I was on the job, because I was losing my mind. I had several seizures and mental breakdowns that year and on the job, but this was what was trying to keep me sane. In particular, I did something with E equals MC squared. You can see I was like looking at the equation and realizing that this was an algebraic expression of necessarily higher and lower dimensional sort of observational spheres. Like you can see energy in a one-dimensional space or a two-dimensional space or a three-dimensional space or a fourth-dimensional space. You should be able to. And then I tried to simplify it. I don't know if the math is correct, but I tried to put the MC squared on one side so that I could find necessarily a 1 on the other side. And the other thing that I did was I realized that Euler's theorem was it had something to do with e to the pi. Let me find it. E to the You see, Euler's theorem was that it equals to -1. And I just found that interesting because if E equals mc squared equals 1, you could plug that in to Euler's theorem because, -1. And then the ultimate equation, where did I find it? I don't know if I wrote it down again. But it's something along the lines of E over mc squared plus e to the pi I equals 0. And that was as you can see in this book, I just wrote a lot of it's a lot of nonsense. I do admit, and it is a lot of nonsense, but I just found it interesting. I find it like an interesting sort of philosophical sort of metric to applying, story theory and stuff. See if I can find the actual equation. And this is what it simplifies to. If I can do that with E equals mc squared, and that's contingent on if I can do that. Let me show you what I actually did as I do it. If you say E equals mc squared, you should divide both sides by mc squared, the same factor, and then that should cancel out to 1, and that should be, E equals mc squared. But and then you could just plug that value in, this value, into that part. And then this part, it used to be -1, but now it simplifies quite easily to 0. And I feel like this equation quite necessarily captures a lot of, sort of information about the universe. You have your energy matter equivalence here, and you got your speed of light there, observational. You've got E, which is the rate of expansion, whose natural logarithm is 1. You got pi I, which is the ratio, and I believe that pi is a reference to omnidirectional expansion. So that's where the pi comes from. An I don't know if you can see the I, so I'm gonna write it again. The I is necessarily, we all know from math, it's the square root of -1, and then it repeats infinitely and rotates around a sort of an axis of negativity. You see, once you get that, you get -1, and then you get, well, I know that -1 is a 1. I forgot this step, so I would assume that it's 1 times, what the hell is that? -1? Something like that. I forgot. I didn't pay really much attention in pre-calculus. I don't know trig. I don't know omnidirectional expansion. I don't know what any of this means. So if anyone wants to steal credit for this, you can be. I already named this theory Emily's theory. That's Emily's theory. So if your name's Emily, this is your theory now.